I rise today to talk about a program of critical importance to my state and to a number of people all across the country, and that's the Affordable Connectivity Program, something that doesn't generate a lot of headlines, something that doesn't generate a lot of partisan debate, and something for which, gratefully, there is a bipartisan group of senators who would, I think, extend the Affordable Connectivity Program for this country, but unfortunately it looks like the leadership does not want to give us a vote on it. And so I want to talk about why this program is important and talk about why it's important that we hopefully sometime in the future authorize this important program, which just expired a matter of a few days ago. Now, this is a town where we often, the thing that generates headlines are sometimes the most partisan fights, the things that are most pressing and most relevant. And of course, you know me, Mr. President, I participate in those debates just as well as, or just as much as anybody. But sometimes, hopefully most of the time, this body should be geared towards actually accomplishing things for the constituents that we represent. And in the state of Ohio, the Affordable Connectivity Program benefits over 1 million households. That's not 1 million people, 1 million households in the state of Ohio benefit from this program. And my co-sponsors from Vermont, from New Mexico, Democratic colleagues, and from a number of Republican states as well, I think testify to how important this program actually is. And let me just sort of try to identify a couple of the reasons why it's important. So the first reason it's important is because we know that connectivity is actually one of the important, the necessary parts of living life in the 21st century. We may not like this. We may think that this was a negative trend, but look, kids can't do their schoolwork without access to high-quality broadband. A lot of parents can't do their work from home if they don't have access to high-quality broadband. Teachers can't prepare lessons for the next day, and increasingly, especially in a country that's as constrained by budget and fiscal matters as ours, one of the great ways to lower healthcare costs in our country is telemedicine. And yet you can't do telemedicine, of course, if you don't have an internet connection at home. The Affordable Connectivity Program solves this problem by ensuring that our low-income residents all across the country can afford their internet bills. Now, it's not just about the consumers, it's not just about our citizens who need high-quality connection, because the guarantee that consumers will be able to pay their internet bills regardless of their income level is one of the things that makes it possible for a lot of companies to invest in rural broadband infrastructure. I've talked to a number of companies, a number of businesses that do rural broadband infrastructure just in the state of Ohio, and it costs a lot of money, right? You lay a mile of fiber in a place like Cleveland, Columbus, or Cincinnati, and you instantly have thousands upon thousands of people who are ready to tap into that connection. But you lay a mile of fiber in rural southeastern Ohio, and maybe if you're lucky, you have a few people who are willing to tap in to that connection. So it's more expensive in the parts of our country that are more sparsely populated. I think it's one of the reasons why my Democratic colleague from New Mexico is as passionate about this as I am, Senator Lujan, is because you have, of course, large numbers of reservations all over New Mexico and a large number of rural areas that aren't in reservations. And look, you need to be able to access this stuff. You need to be able to access an internet connection in the 21st century. It's important for economic development. It's important for people to be able to live their lives. But in order to ensure that people are willing to actually invest in that broadband infrastructure, to pay for that mile of fiber optic cable, you got to make sure that on the other end, there are customers who are willing to actually access and pay for those services. So this is an important thing, and it's already expired. And it hasn't expired because of partisan bickering. This is a bipartisan piece of legislation that wants to reauthorize this program. And it hasn't expired because we don't have the resources. This is a very, very small amount of money in the grand scheme of the federal budget. The reason it has expired is because sometimes in Washington, people are too busy arguing about public policy and not actually busy enough doing public policy. We have the votes, we have the need, we have the necessity, but the reason why this program has fallen, the reason why this program has lapsed, the reason why it's gone offline, if you'll forgive a pun, is because we can't actually vote on it. And that, unfortunately, I think is a reflection on Senate leadership. It's a reflection on the brokenness of this town. and it's a reflection on the fact that too often so many good public policies for the people of our country fall through the cracks because other things take priority. Well, this should take priority. This is important, and I think that unfortunately a lot of people in Ohio are about to find out how important it is when the program, when they start to see the effects of it expiring. So one of the things, Mr. President, mindful a little bit of time here, I received a number of letters about this, and one of the really fascinating dynamics of becoming a United States Senator, I've been here for all of 18 months, is that your constituent letters very often tell you the issues that the people you represent, the people you serve, that they actually care the most about. And sometimes, you know, I expect a lot of constituent mail, positive and negative, and sometimes I'm surprised by it. I'm always surprised that any time an issue of animal rights comes up, that's when I get maybe the most mail. People in Ohio really love animals, and rightfully so. And this issue, I've gotten a lot of letters on. Again, it doesn't gather a lot of headlines, but it matters to a lot of people. Senator Vance, this is one letter I received from a constituent. I am writing to you today to stress the importance of Congress providing continued funding for the Affordable Connectivity Program, ACP, as soon as possible. My household, along with a special needs person that relies on GPS for tracking his whereabouts, could be life-threatening if I cannot find him. Think about that, right? I am his legal guardian and look over his well-being, so as when he wanders off, I would not be able to find him through his cell phone device. More than 21 million other vulnerable households in the United States, 21 million, 8% or so of our population, rely on this program to pay for broadband services. Without the support provided by this program, my home and many others would struggle to afford a broadband subscription. The support provided by the ACP program has kept my family and families like mine online through these difficult economic times. Even when we go beyond correspondence with my I'm going to read a second letter here, but I just want to highlight what an extraordinary testament that is. The legal guardian of a special needs person who needs broadband access to be able to keep tabs on this person when they need to. And the program that they desperately need has already expired, and they're about to start feeling it. It only expired a week ago, so they haven't maybe noticed it yet, but they certainly will. And this person needs access to this program to keep track of a special needs person, and you wonder, will they have it without this continued program? I'm going to read another letter here. This is from Poland, Ohio. Dear Senator Vance, I represent the Ohio Connectivity Champions, a group of technology experts who were hired by the Management Council of the Ohio Education Computer Network during the pandemic to help Ohio families find affordable internet. We originally focused on parents of students who needed internet so that their children could complete schoolwork. Since then, we have focused on all Ohioans and helping them with enrollment in the Affordable Connectivity Program, as well as other technology-related assistance. We have heard from thousands of Ohioans on how much the ACP has helped them with affordable internet. I know that budgetary issues are very difficult right now, and that the government expenditures are at the top of everyone's list of priorities, but the ACP is one of the most effective social programs in a long time. The pandemic opened everyone's eyes to the digital divide in the country, and the ACP has allowed for millions of Americans to participate in the 21st century economy. I know that the ACP will most likely be adjusted through negotiations in Congress, and that is fine, but to not fund the program completely would affect many Ohioans. We would appreciate your support of the ACP as we continue to help Ohioans with finding affordable internet. So another letter comes from Columbus, Ohio, and though one of the things I really admire and like about the ACP program is it induces investment in rural broadband infrastructure, we also know that there are a lot of people in our urban areas who could not afford their internet bills without the ACP program. So this is from Natalie in Columbus, Ohio. We receive a $30 credit each month on our internet connection. This is scheduled to end in early 2024 unless the Affordable Connectivity Program is fully funded. This makes a significant difference in our monthly budget as we are on food stamps. Both my husband and I are disabled. This credit makes a significant difference in our lives. Without it, that $30 will have to come out of our food budget as we don't have anywhere else to squeeze the budget. Food costs have gone up. Every month, we end up spending more on food than we get in food stamps. When we got that extra $95 at the end of the month, it really helped. However, that program was discontinued. Now another program is scheduled to end that directly impacts those Americans on the bottom end of the economic scale. These are two people, a husband and wife, disabled, who are actually going to forego food because this program has expired in my home state of Ohio. What a shame that we have failed Natalie and her husband by failing to reauthorize this program, and what an opportunity to actually get off our rear ends and make sure that we do it when we get the opportunity. Now, this is from another letter I'm going to read from Mansfield, Ohio. I'm 73 years old. Mansfield, Ohio, speaking of pets, is actually where my wife and I got the first dog that we ever owned together. Without the ACP, I would not have internet. So I am writing to you today to stress the importance of Congress providing continued funding for the Affordable Connectivity Program, ACP, as soon as possible. The support provided by the ACP program has kept my family and families like mine online through these difficult economic times. We use it to stay connected to work, school, and healthcare providers, in addition to family and friends. Without the ACP, the reality is that we may no longer be able to afford to be connected, and that would be an added hardship. Now think about this. I know that, like a lot of Americans with young kids at home, probably the most important thing that I use my broadband connection for is so that my 3 little kids can call their grandparents and call their aunts and uncles. So this 73-year-old from Mansfield, Ohio, I wonder whether she'll be able to contact her grandkids, whether she'll be able to keep connected with her family who are not easy to get to if this program disappears. One final letter I want to read. Sorry, Mr. President, given time, I will not read the last letter that I have, but the point that I think these letters drive home is that real people are going to suffer when this program goes away. You have people who have to pick between food service and internet connectivity. You have an elderly woman who may not be able to connect to her friends and family. You have people worried about their telemedicine and healthcare visits. And on the point about federal spending, it sort of breaks my heart when a constituent who can't afford internet service is writing to us apologizing for a program's budgetary hit when it's a tiny, tiny slice of the American federal budget. And I know this is a controversial comment with some of my colleagues, but if we can afford to fund military conflicts the world over, can't we afford to provide basic connectivity and services for our own people? Disabled people choosing between food and internet connection, that is the choice that we have foisted upon them by not authorizing this program. I am disappointed by that, Mr. President. And again, I'll say that it presents an opportunity for us to do the right thing, to make reforms to the ACP program where it needs to be reformed, but to do the right thing, reauthorize this program, and ensure that Ohioans and people all over our country don't have to choose between internet service and food. We can do that. We just have to do our jobs.